source.
Minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. Our next guest, Robin, listen to this. Her new book, it's called The Great Alone. Kristin Hanna is our guest. Kristin's new book is debuting at number 19 on the Amazon charts, right? And that's not in a particular category. That's period. That's the number 19th best-selling book on Amazon, not any particular category, just period. Just can you imagine what that must be like? And today's the first week or whatever that it's even on the charts.
That is so exciting. And it's such a great book, too. We were privileged to get an advanced copy.
Yes, and I remember back in the days when music was important to me. I mean, music still is, but I mean, music charts and all that. I don't really pay attention to that. But I can remember like when Michael Jackson or Elton John or somebody who had a name was like debuting high on the charts or number one on the charts. To debut at number 19 is there. That's pretty cool accomplishment. All right, let's say good morning, Kristin Hanna. Good morning, Kristin. And I know I should have said something more about your credentials, but I just was so I guess impressed by the number 19 debut number. Good morning, Kristin.
Good morning. I'm pretty amazed myself.
Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I am calling from Boston on I think day 2 of my tour.
Is that where you live?
No, I'm a Seattle girl.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, both are cold places. I mean, you have a huge following here in Florida, so you might want to come down to the warmer temperatures. As soon as we,
I'm coming. I am going to be in Florida sometime next week.
Oh, are you?
Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, Fort Lauderdale. Okay. Well, we're closer to Disney World. If you ever happen to be in our area, it would be nice to see you. How many books have you written? You've got a whole library.
I have quite a few. Yeah, I've been doing it a long time. I think I've got more than 20 books, something like that.
Wow. Well, you've got a following, and that it just is demonstrated in the fact that you are debuting at number 19. Tell me about the story, The Great Alone.
Well, this is really sort of a story about Alaska, first and foremost. My family has lived in Alaska for years and has a sport fishing lodge up there, and 3 generations of my family have worked there. And so I have just fallen in love with the state and the kind of rugged individualists who live there. And so this is a story about a young girl coming of age set against the turbulent world of the 1970s when her father, a Vietnam vet with undiagnosed PTSD, takes his family north to live off the grid.
So you like rugged individuals? Because I could be one.
Well, I do come from a family of adventurers.
You see, I've often thought that if you fall in love with Alaska, then maybe Florida won't be for you. I don't know, because there's nobody.
Well, I don't live in Alaska in the winter. I can tell you that.
It seems there are a different set of rules up there in Alaska when somebody lives there as opposed to somebody visiting. It just seems like the women have to be stronger if you're living up there, and you have to go through this rite of passage to be accepted within the individual communities.
Yeah, one of the things that has affected me so deeply about Alaska is really how fierce and tough the women are. Everyone in general, the community comes together to help you survive against this landscape that, in the winter is just, sort of beautiful and terrible. But as usual, it falls to the women to do all of that, all of the survival, all of the, the difficult day-to-day stuff, but also child rearing, also, other tasks. And so my girlfriends in Alaska are just kind of a different breed, and it's almost a throwback to, the classic American pioneer. And I loved exploring that angle.
And you address domestic abuse within your story.
I do. I mean, it's Alaska, like I said, it's this harsh climate, and it's dark a lot of the winter, and of course fiercely cold. And so Ernst, the character who was a POW, really kind of couldn't have picked a worse place to move his family. And, the cold and the darkness really contribute to his paranoia. So it's, there's a domestic abuse angle, but it's also about sort of, surviving and triumph in that difficult situation.
I don't want to use the word romantic and be misunderstood, but so I don't know if I mean the male-female romance or just the romantic era. When the last book you wrote about World War II, this one delves into some of the Vietnam War. For some reason, I don't know if it's the music or what it is, but there's something, and maybe it's because I didn't live through it. Maybe that's what it is. But the World War II era somehow has a romanticism about it, and the Vietnam War doesn't seem to have that. Mm-mm. Do you agree? Do you see that? Does it not even matter when you're writing a book?
I mean, absolutely. With World War II, there was a clarity. There was this sense of good versus evil, and, the entire country was on the side of, us. Yeah. And I think, Vietnam, it was just so much more divided and difficult, and it was a time of, social and political unrest worldwide, in addition, terrorism, hijacking, So it was a very different world, and as we now know, we didn't treat our vets very well coming home from that war, which was also a big difference.
Right. And strong women appear in, strong women have appeared ever since Eve, okay, mm-hmm. I guess to put it that way. But I mean, as far as storytelling from those two eras, it seems like strong women made the era what it was in both cases.
Well, and I think that's one of the things I've been trying to do in my book, certainly in The Nightingale and certainly in The Great Alone, is sort of remind people that these stories that we've been hearing about bravery and courage and, all of this in World War II up to now, it's not always only about men, that women were out there doing amazing things. And I think a lot of those stories need to come to the fore also.
Oh, yeah.
And you give a different perspective on the word loss in your book. Sometimes it doesn't have to do about death.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the book is in some ways, a coming-of-age story for a 13-year-old girl who grows up during the course of this, in this harsh landscape, in this dysfunctional family. And, as with all growing up, there's loss along the way, but that loss, sort of shapes and defines you, and, you become stronger for it.
I want to mention this, and I know you sort of covered this already, but it seems like the very landscape, the setting of Alaska, is in a way a character. Does that even make sense to you? It shows up a lot in the book, just the descriptiveness of what's going on around you.
Actually, yeah. I mean, to me as the author, Alaska was the first character, and that was really something that my editor and I talked about, that we really wanted to make Alaska as prominent in this book as any of the people.
Wow. I have a copy of the book. It is number 19, period, on Amazon. Did you know that, or did I tell you that? Am I the first to tell you that?
You are the first to tell me that.
See that? I love that. I love that. If you go to Amazon right now and you look at your book, it says, whatever it says. I don't know what it says. I don't remember anymore, but it's number 19. And usually when I look up authors and I see, where they are on the charts, they might have a number one book in their category, like Elves from the Suburban of Detroit. So, but you're number 19 of all the books. That's pretty cool. All right. I have a copy of The Great Alone if you would like it. I hate to give it away, but I will. I'll buy my own. I'll get a Kindle version. So if you want this one, call me, please, and you can have it. The rest of us have to go buy it. I did find it on Amazon. Kristin, do you have a website? I'm sure you do, right?
I do, KristinHanna.com, and I'm also on Facebook.
That is a great name. Is that your real name?
It is my real name.
There you go.
And your book is so enjoyable to read because it's so real. My mother has a friend whose daughter moved up to Alaska, and she could only take a few things. And
You should bring that book.
she works at a resort up there, and she could really relate to what you're saying.
Oh, great. Well, I hope she likes it.
So what is your life like? I mean, are you married? Not that I'm asking for me. I'm just asking. I'm just wondering. Do you have children? What is life like for you? Where are you now? You said you're in Boston.
In
right?
Boston.
Oh, right. So how? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Boston right now. I live in Seattle on a little island, and I have a son, and I've been writing. Let's see, I used to be a lawyer, and I started writing because I wanted to be at home in the early years with my son, and so
Oh my
that's
gosh.
kind of how I got started.
And it worked out pretty nicely, didn't it?
It worked out pretty nicely.
Well, what an honor to have you on our show. You have a huge following here, by the way. I always can tell when we have an author with a huge following when we announce who's coming on early and everybody's asking for the book. Well, now's the time. If you want to give me a call. Kristin, thank you for being on the air with us today.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you guys.
That was fun. We'll take a little break. Be right back.
Howdy, folks. RL here for Dairy Queen again to tell you about what's hot and what's not. Dairy Queen has some of the best char grilled chicken breasts on earth, as